In this video, I'm going to show you what happens if the alignment of the long and short arm are not correct and they're a little bit crossing on each other. And so what happens is, notice that right there I just pushed it down and the short arm ball got hung up on the long arm. Watch now. There, see how it fell down? Alright, I'll do it again here. This is kind of a common problem that can happen. And as you can see, now I shook it a little bit and the short arm went all the way down. Now watch the gap right there where the short and long arm are together. Should be together, but they're not. And I'll shake it just a little bit. There, it fell down. So what happens is, and I'll show you with the gauge, is that you'll be empty, but yet you'll show maybe a R level. You think you have another gallon or two left. So I'll put this down and we'll pause for a moment. All right, I installed the cinder into my dummy tank here, and I've got power applied, and as you can see, the gauge is reading right at empty. That's good. And if you look, the ball, the short arm ball is at it is down, and the contacts here on the arm right there are right together. So all I do is raise that up a little bit, and guess what? It's hung up, but yet the long arm is sitting at the bottom of the tank. And so here's what you see. And it takes a little bit for the gauge to go ahead and continue up. I'll pause for a second here. Okay, you can see that the gauge is showing just a little bit above R, and the short arm is not all the way down where it should be. It should be right there. You can see the friction, and it doesn't take very much for that to happen here. I'll just show you. See, now it slid on down. Now the gas sloshing around in there, if it's not real bad, will finally work its way down. But if those arms are not really lined up real well, then you're going to have this issue. So you got to make sure that you spread them a little bit. But when you do, you got to be careful also that you don't bend the long arm too much, so it starts dragging here on the baffle, or even gets, enough friction there where it hangs it up. And if it hangs up there, then you're going to have the same indication. Okay? Now, I'm going to pause here a second. All right, I have the two cinders, OEM types. I'm going to show you. This one here is, I've never bent it or anything, and it has quite a bit of a gap between the short arm and the long arm, so you can tell that they're really not going to hang up. But here's the one that I was pointing out, that you can see that it's very close, and if it's just a little bit further over, then it hangs up. And when it hangs up, I'm going to go upside down here. As we can see, it's hung up. Just a second. There, you can see that the long and short arm aren't together like they should be, and it is hung up on that long arm. So this can also happen with the EMPI and the Mexican cinders, so you have to be aware that that happens. You can see I just shook it, and it's okay now. So a little bit to learn there. I'm going to pause for a second here. Now I have a EMPI sender that's been calibrated, but I have found that this gap right here is too close on some of them right out of the box, and they will drag and hang up. This one's good, and it's going to clear it even if the long arm is shifted over like that. Should anyway, and it doesn't rub. But you don't want it to rub because it could get hung up, and then you're not going to get a true empty. Pausing. Okay, that concludes this video. I just wanted to be able to point out that fact that you can have a little problem with those arms dragging on these cinders. Right? I'm through.